In this video, I'm going to share with you 7 retirement tips. Hi, I'm Camille Gaines. Welcome to Retire Certain. Here and on my blog, retirecertain.com, I write about our adventure from a scary and uncertain financial future to financial independence, starting at around age 50. And we did this by using both traditional investments, such as stocks and bonds, but also implementing some alternative income streams that are usually ignored in mainstream retirement planning. This worked really well for us, and it compelled me to start this channel and my website. And here in this video, I want to share retirement tips that we learned after we, as I like to say, stumbled into early retirement. If you're interested in this topic, make sure you subscribe to my channel. Click that little bell so you know when I post a new video. Now, let me get started with these retirement tips. These are things that I've learned over the years, and stay sure you stay tuned to the very end because there's something super important I want to share with you. The very first thing is to decide who you are. You know, I think we enter these careers when we're young and we have this pressure, I know I did, to get started the week after I graduated from college, right? Because that's what we did back in the day. And I think that we get stuck with that sort of identification or in that field, that career, and as we move up, we end up, you know, maybe sort of losing a part of who we are. Now, I want to be very upfront with this and say that I have had several careers. I had a couple of different careers. I started working really young. I was 14, but I had several different careers, and then I ended up moving overseas when I was around the age of 30. And when I did that, I tried to retire. At the time, I was a commercial real estate broker, so I'd worked pretty hard to get where I was, and that was following 5 years as a securities accountant for a corporation. And you know, for me to leave that career that I had been working on for so long and go try to retire, I get the whole retirement thing, probably not as much as you if you've been in one career for decades, you know. But I remember walking down, I moved to Bermuda for my husband's job, and we lived on Harbor Road. If you've been to Bermuda, it's this beautiful, beautiful place. And I remember walking down Harbor Road crying right after I got there. And it was because I missed the camaraderie of work, right? And so one of the biggest retirement tips I can give you is decide who you are and be okay with that. Decide who you are, and you may be a person that likes work, right? Like, get ready, it's a real shocker, right? I realized that about myself. I'm a person that likes work, and we have these expectations around retirement that, oh, it's going to be so fantastic and you can lay around and do nothing or play golf or fish or whatever it is you want to do. You can still do all that, but there's that mental stimulation that a lot of us are really, really driven to. And when we retire and we're used to that every day, and it's suddenly just gone, and we're expected to be happy without that mental stimulation, it's unsettling and it's disturbing. I found that to be the case, and that's actually what led me to become the family investor, because I said, my gosh, I'm going to go crazy here. And I was able to work a little bit part-time, but it was limited because I was an expatriate. So I became the family investor for that mental stimulation. What is it that you know, are missing or not missing, or who are you really? And I think you find that out when you're retired or you're planning to retire and you start thinking about what you're going to do. You may be one of these people that's delighted to play golf every single day. You may want to fish every day. You may not care. You may be so happy to not have to use your brain, I guess, to think about things. I don't want to sound that in a negative way, to excessively use your brain, I'll say, because we all have to use our brains, especially these days, just to function, right? With all the gadgets and technology security and everything. But yeah, so the first tip is just to decide who you are. All right, and then that leads me straight to tip number 2, and that's let it be okay, right? Let it be okay. I thought I was crazy. Here I was living in paradise and I was unhappy. And it was because I didn't realize until decades later, honestly, only in recent years have I realized that who I am is someone that enjoys mental stimulation. I enjoy business and I enjoy investing, and that's part of my life and part of who I am. If you're the kind of person that likes not doing anything like that, relaxing all the time, that's okay too. If you're the kind of person that misses mental stimulation and wants some sort of mental stimulation on a regular basis, on a daily basis, let that be okay. Let whoever you decide and you realize that you are after you retire be okay. And then you can move forward from there because you've seen who you are and you've accepted it, and you have so many options from there, as you'll see in my other videos. I'll put a link to a video that is seeing the world as your oyster, because it is. All right, let me glance at my notes. The very next thing I want to mention, gosh, I think this is so important, is to keep marketable skills. Even if you're the person that likes to decide that you like to lounge all day, or you like to hang out with the grandkids all day, or you like to travel, you like camping, you like whatever it is, it's as far away from business as you can possibly be. Keep a marketable skill, because just in case, right, that retirement account runs out, or just in case we see inflation again of over 10%, over 13% actually, just in case things happen, and we know that black swans do happen, things happen that are unexpected. Just in case, have those marketable skills so that you can jump back into something. It's easier than ever to have marketable skills because of all the online learning that's available. And so keep a marketable skill of some sort so that you can jump back in. It's very empowering to know that you can get a job, and we found that in this income stream adventure, we had to learn a bunch of stuff, right? Because we didn't know any of this. And we upped our skills around investing and around creating income streams. But then we decided to launch some online businesses. And boy, that was a huge learning adventure for us, right? Because neither of us are at all techies. And so, but having those marketable skills, where I was going with this is I actually have had a couple of people contact me to work for them, because I'm out there and I develop these marketable skills. So whatever it is that you're sort of drawn to, go ahead and create a marketable skill around that so that you have that for, I like to call plan B, right? To reverse the scarcity mentality around retirement. So retirement is all about, traditional retirement and planning, I should say, is all about, planning to live on less, planning on cutting back, planning on shifting from building wealth to just having income off of whatever you've already built by the time you retire. Shift that, throw that out. I'll put a link to a video I did up here on the new retirement plan, the new way to look at retirement, why we have to change the old way that we looked at retirement, but also how wonderful it is to move from that scarcity mentality to move to that peak after 50 mentality that we can do now, because we live in a time of absolutely incredible opportunities. So shift your thinking from, I'm a has-been, I peaked earlier in life, to, wow, I can peak later in life. And that's one of the things you may have seen here on my channel back, well over a decade ago, 15 years ago, when we started this income stream adventure. I said to Larry one day when we were on our walk, I think I want to peak later in life. Like I want to peak from like after now. I don't want to have peaked in my careers or earlier in my life from either a personal development or a financial perspective. I want to peak later. So reverse that thinking about retirement from, settling and not wealth building, or it doesn't even really have to do with money. It can just be from a personal development perspective. Allow yourself to reverse that thinking and see what's possible that you really, really want to do, and allow it as a possibility, right? So yeah, reverse that scarcity thinking. All right, let me glance at my notes. Ooh, the next one is to simply ask, how can I do this? So if there's something that you really want, again, this goes back to this negative thinking. We sort of have become conditioned to feel like we have to settle for, Social Security and the retirement withdrawal strategy, or maybe a pension or whatever, live on less or downsize or whatever it is that we feel like we're having to settle for. But when we look at seeing what it is that we really, really want and shift our thinking to how can I make this happen instead of I can't afford it or I can't do that, it opens up a whole new world. And that's one of the best retirement tips that I think we can really do and provide ourselves with for growth after we retire, to keep on creating that life that we want. And then the next tip is to simply keep some structure in your life. I know I thrive on structure. I think most people do. And I've tried to not have structure and I flounder. I think that most people thrive on structure. So try that. Try keeping some structure in your life. Even though, like I said, I hate that alarm clock. I love not having an alarm clock. I allow myself to get as much rest as I want. Whereas my mother set her alarm clock until, honestly, she was probably 85 when I finally convinced her she could stop. It's that generation, right? That Depression era generation. But I think some structure is really, really good. And I know it allows me to be happier and it allows me to thrive more when I have some structure around my life. It just works better. And the next thing that I want to say about this, the next retirement tip I want to share is we can easily look at what's wrong and what's not working, but I love the thought of throwing all of our problems into one big pile. And it's been said that you would pull out your own problems in a heartbeat. When I start getting down on anything, I can just immediately shift to looking at what's right. Some structure around recognizing gratitude in my life has really been huge for me. And it's around this whole thing of looking to see what's working and what's right instead of focusing on the things that aren't working. Because let's face it, as we get older, things stop working in our body, right? Something hurts, or we can't do what we used to do, or things change. Life gets harder in many ways, and there are challenges, right, that we didn't have before. And so I also want to back up just a little bit and say, ask how can I do this in a way that will allow me to continue the lifestyle I want? But then also realizing that once we've done what we can, that we can look and see what is right, that we can still do, and live from that place. If you found these retirement tips helpful, watch this video next.